The Lantern Witch of Hollow's End. The wind howled through the hollow trees, carrying whispers of the dead. On the edge of Hollow's End, a forgotten village buried deep in the woods. The night of October 31st was never just Halloween, it was the night when she returned. They called her the Lantern Witch. No one remembered her real name anymore. Some said she had once been a healer, burned alive for witchcraft centuries ago. Others believed she had sold her soul for eternal life and decayed from the inside out. But everyone agreed on one thing: if you ever saw her lantern light flickering in the fog, you were already too late. It began, as all bad stories do, with a dare. For teenagers from the nearby town of Greyfell de la Cara, Mason and Leela decided to spend Halloween night exploring the ruins of Hollow's End. The village had been abandoned since the fire of 1889, when every villager vanished overnight. Locals whispered that it was the witch's curse, that the fire had been her revenge. Eli, the boldest of them all, laughed at the rumors. "It's just old superstition," he said, flashing his grin in the beam of his flashlight. "We'll take some pictures, freak Mason out, and go viral." Mason swallowed hard. "And if we actually see her," Eli smirked, "then we run." Kara rolled her eyes. Leela said nothing. Her grandmother had warned her since childhood. Never follow the light, it doesn't lead you home, it leads you under. By midnight, they reached the ruins. The skeletal remains of cottages leaned like broken teeth against the pale moonlight. The air smelled of burnt wood and rot. They set up near the old church, its steeple split and leaning to one side. Kara lifted her phone and began recording. "Okay guys, live from Hollow's End ghost hunting time." But as her camera panned toward the fog, something flickered in the distance, a faint orange light moving slowly between the trees. Lila froze. "That's her lantern," she whispered. Eli frowned. "Probably just a reflection, or someone camping." The light blinked once, twice, like it was signaling. Before anyone could stop him, Eli started walking toward it. Leela grabbed his arm, terrified. "Don't," he shrugged her off. "Relax, it's nothing." The others followed nervously, the fog thickening around them. The closer they got, the colder it became. Their breath turned white in the air. The light stopped moving. It hovered, floating, and then began to rise until it was level with Eli's face. She stepped out of the mist. At first, she seemed human, a woman in a long black cloak. Then the light caught her face, and horror unfolded. A skull grinned beneath a wide-brimmed hat, with tangled fiery red hair cascading down like rivers of blood. Her bones creaked as she moved, her fingers long and claw-like. In her hand, she held a rusted lantern carved into a pumpkin's face, its flickering light casting monstrous shadows. When she spoke, her voice was the dry whisper of autumn leaves. "Children, you've come far." Mason stumbled back. "Holy hell, what is that?" Eli's voice trembled. "Who are you?" The witch tilted her head, and her empty sockets seemed to burn brighter. "Names are for the living." Kara, shaking but trying to stay brave, raised her phone. "Oh my God, this is insane." Before she could record another second, the witch pointed one bony finger at her. The lantern flared with sudden brilliance. Kara screamed, but the sound died in her throat as her skin turned to ash. Within seconds, her body crumbled into dust, her phone dropping lifelessly to the dirt. Lila screamed. Mason ran. Eli stood frozen, staring at the skeletal woman. "The flame must be fed," she rasped, her voice echoing from all around them. "For souls for the fire. For to keep the darkness warm." The ground beneath them shuddered as she stepped forward, her lantern light pulsing like a heartbeat. Lila grabbed Eli's arm and yanked him toward the trees. "Run." They sprinted into the forest, twigs snapping underfoot, their lungs burning with cold air. Behind them, the orange glow followed steady, unhurried, but never fading. Mason tripped into a clearing, wheezing, tears streaking down his face. "Stay back," he shouted, lifting a broken branch like a weapon. The witch emerged from the mist, the jack-o'-lantern grinning in her skeletal hand. "Your flame burns brightest," she whispered. The lantern's flame leaped forward like a living thing, striking his chest. Mason screamed as his body ignited from within, turning to black smoke that rose and vanished into the night. Eli and Lila didn't look back again. They ran until they saw the faint silver glint of the highway ahead. When they finally stumbled onto the asphalt, gasping and trembling, the world was silent. No footsteps, no lantern, only the wind. They flagged down a passing truck, but neither could explain what had happened. They just said, "Don't go back there." 2 days later, police found Kara's phone deep in the woods. The final video showed 4 laughing friends, then a flickering orange light approaching through thick fog. For a brief moment, a skeletal figure appeared, then static. The file ended there. Lila never spoke publicly about that night. She moved away, changed her name, and avoided forests forever. Eli wasn't so lucky. A week after Halloween, his mother found him sitting on his bed, eyes wide open, face pale as chalk. In his lap was a small pumpkin lantern, burning softly. Inside the flame, if you looked closely, you could almost see a faint reflection, a grinning skull. Every Halloween since then, drivers passing through the woods near Hollow's End have reported seeing her, A tall skeletal woman in tattered robes, her long red hair glowing like embers beneath her hat, holding a lantern that burns too bright. Some say she watches silently from the trees. Others swear she steps closer, lifting her lantern as if offering it to them. No one who stops ever returns. And sometimes, when the fog rolls in thick and the air turns cold, you can hear her whisper from somewhere deep in the darkness. The flame must be fed. The end.